Hey, this is Notser, and today we're talking about some more developer blog posts by Wargaming. This time, new ships, new maps, improvement to the aircraft carrier, the victory competition. This is the Soviet battleship campaign that's going live in 8.3. It's got a really great reward. And then finally, the 12th rank season rule set is live, so we can discuss it. And I'm sure people will be sharing their displeasure, but we'll get to that. Some people will be very excited about it. But first, let's talk new ships. The first new ship, Soviet cruiser Smolensk. It's a tier 10. Premium camo looks awesome, but note something on the ship. It looks like it's got 1, 2, 3, maybe a 4th gun on a turret. It's a 4-gun turret. And as we look down here, confirmation, yes it is. So it's 16 130mm guns on 4-gun turrets. The maximum firing range, the hit points. It's a very low hit point, low armored, shallow cruiser. It has the ability, of course, since it's a small gun caliber though, for advanced firing training, basic firing training. All of those work with it to give it faster reload, extended range. It has great gun velocity, a 6-second turret traverse, so you won't have to get expert marksman. I know that's disappointing to some people. No, it's not. But it's great that that's not even a consideration. You will be able to switch all your guns port to starboard in a blink of an eye. It has 8-kilometer range torpedoes, but I don't really know how useful that is. Now look at the Aaa setup. It has short, medium, and long. Its continuous and short is 211. Its medium is 325. Its long range is 327. Its long range AA is actually better than its short range. So attacking this ship would be very dangerous for it, but attacking around it would work in its favor. Maximum speed 35, 750 turn radius, the rudder shift 8.2, surface detectability 12.8. Because it's 12.8, there's no way you could still torpedo. So those torpedoes are basically only for extreme defense. Now, as far as consumables, damage control, hydroacoustic defensive AA, smoke, repair party. Now, the last Soviet cruiser to have smoke is no longer in the game, Nikolai Kuznetsov. And I think that might be the case with this ship, but we'll test it. Nothing's final. They could remove it. But inclusion of smoke on a ship that has that kind of range, gun velocity, and firepower, it's going to be really annoying to fight. It's going to just be stealth and smoke, killing you in the most brutal, fast way possible because its DPM is off the charts. Next up, we have the Tier 10 French cruiser, Colbert, and premium camo. Looks very French, reminds me of the French battleships, but look at the guns. They look pretty puny and small. And that superstructure, very not puny and small, but I don't see any torpedo systems. Now, as far as health, more health than the Smolensk. It has 8x2 instead of 4x4, 127mm guns. And these 127mm guns, they're very French. The French have a very, a little bit more rewarding AP shell than HE shell compared to the Americans, whereas the Americans' HE shell is a little bit higher, but its fire chance is awful. So this will be interesting. It has a lot of fire chance, but a very low damaging shell. And then the AP shell, when you switch to it, is pretty effective to a point. The reload time, 3 seconds. Once again, all of these stats can be influenced with basic firing training and advanced firing training. So you will be doing that. That's basically what this means. You'll have to do that. The Aaa Defense is only mid-range and long range, but the mid-range is actually useful. And the long range is the weak part on the ship compared to the Soviet one, which is sort of inverted. Maximum speed, 33 knots, but we know that's not true because it's a French cruiser. It's going to have speed boost. The turning radius, 620 meters, slower rudder shift, 12.4 kilometer detection. It doesn't come with torpedoes, so it would never stealth torpedo anyway. Damage control, hydroacoustic, defensive AA, engine boost, and then repair party. Next up, the American destroyer Summers. This is a tier 10. And, oh, I just have to say, isn't this a gorgeous ship? I love these gun turrets. I love this, like, slight curve. And then they have this little canvas over the gun. And, honestly, the camo itself, it looks awesome. Now, this one is a DD, so it has DD properties, obviously. 17,000 health. At tier 10, not very impressive. But look at the main battery. 4x2. This one has 8 127mm guns. It has a maximum firing range of 11.7. HE, AP, very American. The reload time, 5 seconds. All of this can be improved with basic firing training and advanced firing training. Obviously, it's American, so the gun velocity, it's going to dive on the deck of the enemy. For torpedoes, it has 3x4, so it has 12 torpedoes. And it looks to have 12 torpedoes that are center aligned. Torpedo tube, torpedo tube, torpedo tube. So you could conceivably use them all on a single target. Very juicy. 16.5 kilometer range. Very usable, very honestly awesome. The Aaa Defense, though. 31 damage per second on its continuous. 31. It has absolutely 0 Aaa Defense. It only goes out to 1.8 kilometers. So you're going to really want to hug some cruisers because aircraft carriers are going to love hunting you, like brutalizing you. But the speed, 39 knots. Turn radius, 620. It's the same as that French cruiser. Rudder shift time, 3.9, obviously faster. Surface detectability. It's going to be pretty well concealed. Damage control party, smoke generator, engine boost. Typical inclusions. We have a tier 5 destroyer, American destroyer, Hill. 5x1, 127. American guns. Really fast turret traverse, torpedoes. 5.5 kilometer range. That seems incredibly useless. Aaa Defense. What Aaa Defense? There's none to be had on this ship, let's be real. The maximum speed, 38 knots. Turn radius, 560. 3.1. It has the exact same concealment as the Summers. It's gonna be easy to spot. Damage control, smoke generator, engine boost, defensive AA. You can choose between engine boost and defensive AA. That's probably why they have such weak AA. As far as appearances go, I like the camo. It looks cool. The guns look oddly unarmored in the rear, but that's to be expected at mid-tier American. Let's take a look at the next thing. Now, we're going to be getting a new map in 8.4. Greece. This is the layout of Greece. Looks pretty usable. B point is absolutely DD alley. You're going to have like a bunch of torpedo lanes that you can send. There's a lot of islands, a lot of small islands. And the islands are described to encourage you to maybe fight closer to the enemy because they're more shallow. So they'll protect you from torpedoes and some straight shot shells. And if people spot you around the island, it'll be easier for others to engage. But the model itself of the island, the Greece map, looks very cool. Honestly, I like the details. I can't wait to play it, and I think it'll be really awesome. There's supposed to be apparently a local weather present on 25% of the tier 10 maps. Okay, that's fine with me. Don't really have an issue. The map trap, they have moved it all to the northeast side so that there's more fighting area for A point, so it's not just right up against the border. Honestly, I think that's a good change because this area of the map was totally worthless, and this was getting more fighting, so to more evenly distribute it around the map, I think it's a good change. They're going to be introducing an important interaction for the aircraft carrier. This is related to spotting. Now, currently, when you load into a match as a carrier, you can instantly scramble whatever squadron you want. That will not be the case in the next patch, whenever this goes live. So there's no delay for tier 4 carriers. They're going to be introducing a 15-second delay before you can scramble a squadron at the beginning of a game for tier 6. For tier 8, it will be 30 seconds. And then for Tier 10, it will be 45 seconds. So conceivably, there will be a slight advantage in the same game between the Tier 8s playing against Tier 6s or the Tier 10s playing against Tier 8s. But it's not a significant window for spotting against each other. It's more to slow down carriers as a whole in gathering that information. This is supposed to encourage players to get onto the map before the carrier has, countered all of their strategy. They can establish a foothold that maybe they can ambush a carrier as he comes by to try and spot. Obviously, I think this is healthy for the beginning of the match because carriers basically knew everything always from the very beginning. They're introducing dynamic daytime changes for some ports. This isn't really a big deal for most of you, but it's absolutely wonderful for me because that means my thumbnails are going to be even better looking. Tier 1 ships will no longer have a citadel. The Alabama is getting a new skin for veterans. Looks kind of crazy looking. It's like a kraken or a octopus. Kind of like it though. Black and gold. Very Game of Thrones reminds me of. We got the Stalingrad. Well, maybe it doesn't remind me of. This one's honestly, this reminds me of sort of a Russian fleet colors. Maybe a more modern take on a Russian fleet. So we got some deep blue, some whites, and a little bit of gold trim. I like it. This one will be available for copper. Next up, the victory competition. So in 8.4, the victory competition will continue. This will unlock a brand new commander, a new Russian and Soviet Navy commander, and he's going to have some unique characteristics. Now, it's going to be Nikolai Kuznetsov. Yeah, Kuznetsov. He's got 2 talents, Hidden Reserve. It activates when obtaining First Blood, so it's very similar to the Yamamoto commander. It'll give you an extra charge on consumables, which for the Soviet battleships is very helpful. The Will to Win. This will activate once per battle if the ship's hit point drops below 10% and give following bonuses for 30 seconds. So when your ship first drops to 10%, the following bonuses will take effect regardless of whether you earn an achievement or not. Your damage control party effect will be applied to the ship, but it will not use the consumable charge if it is a limited charge or even a regular. It just is an effect that's applied. The dispersion of shells fired at your ship will drastically increase by 20% for 30 seconds. So everyone firing on you will be less accurate. The effect of repair party regeneration will be up to 7.5% hit points. No consumable charge spent. So when you hit 10%, it's going to jump your health back up, and then maybe you can jump it further with your own repair party. A very interesting design. It is one that it happens once per battle. It's a tanky ability. I think that's good. I don't really have an issue with tanky ability. Besides that, the commander will have one improvement, Jack of all trades. It will have a 10% instead of a 5%. So I'm very interested to see a trigger condition talent, and we've never seen it before. We'll see how balanced it actually is. Obviously, we've never seen this commander in the game, but I think all the skills will work very well to encourage a Soviet battleship for it to be equipped to. The Jack of all trades skill is just screaming tier 10 because they do not need expert marksmen. So, curious to see all that. I will be sticking it on my tier 10 probably once I unlock it. And then finally, probably the most controversial topic, the 12th rank season. It's going to be happening in 8.4. It's going to be featuring 7 tier 10 ships, and the gameplay will be completely different. They are unlocking the ability for carriers to participate in rank. And this is going to be really disappointing to a lot of people. For me personally, I don't know that carriers are ready. But this is for 8.4. This isn't for 8.3. We've got time to rebalance them further. They need to get better at supporting the team. And they also need to not be so devastating to isolated targets, because what is rank? Rank is basically isolated targets. but it's going to be limited to 1 carrier per team, and they are especially effective against solo targets, so grouping up is going to be somewhat encouraged. However, the maps that they have chosen, they want to try and... It doesn't want to just feel like the only viable strategy is to group up, so maybe the maps are going to be a little bit more island filmed for line of sight blocking or anything. Maybe that Greece map will be included as well if there's a lot. Maybe epicenter, not epicenter, estuary. Those are, you know, islands that block a line of sight with the carrier having to drop. We'll see how it works out. Don't know exactly where. And then they're going to have domination and epicenter. And this epicenter mode is actually the modified rings of Saturn. So each individual ring can be captured. One ring doesn't contribute to preventing the others from being captured outwardly. So very similar to how the space campaign has been going. That's what you can expect from the capture mechanics. Now, for me, I think it's just too soon for carriers to be included into rank. I'm worried that they're just going to be too dominant. We'll see how the delay spawn is going to be worked in. Keep in mind, though, that that 45-second delay is going to be applied to rank as well. So for 45 seconds, the carrier's basically not going to be able to send out squadrons. That could be a really big deal. I don't know. But, it's going to be interesting. All of this is very interesting information. I'm very curious to hear about your thoughts. Is there one thing in particular that you're excited for? I think this epicenter change is a really healthy change. It was more fun to play that way. Don't really think carriers are ready. The commander, I'm very interested to see this guy because he's basically got guaranteed value every single game he's in. He's kind of the first commander to do that, but the value is only defensive, right? There's nothing here that increases your damage output and you have to drop very low. So honestly, I think having defensive passives activate every game is a fine decision because they're not actively helping you fight the enemy. They're helping you mitigate damage, and we need more mitigation from players in the game. And I think that's a healthy direction. One that I hope that maybe the German commander will also get something very similar. Hint, hint, we still don't have him. I would love a GK commander that makes me a godlike. That would be great. And then, of course, the ships and the maps. So tell me what you think about all of this. It's really exciting. I don't know what to think about the small caliber guns on these guys. Very curious to test them myself, and I don't know that everything will exist until the launch, but we'll see. If you enjoyed this video, don't hesitate to click the links. We've got the most recent and the most relevant upload. Also, you can subscribe to my channel. You can click the N. We have daily World of Warships content where I talk about similar stuff, show off my builds, try help with the community. Hope you enjoy this, hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll catch you next time.